Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be checking out some Roach Forestcraft. It's not a deck I'm super fond of, but hey, we better cover it because, you know, forest decks, there are not that many of them and this is one of the few. So this variant isn't running the other low cost gold that you can make. I think it's like an 8 cost gold or something, but it can be dropped to 0 by having followers return or removed from play, basically, just removed from the board. So that one you could probably slot in over the top of Untamed Wild instead. Pretty easy swap in, honestly. Otherwise, it's just swarm the board with early stuff, smack them in the face with big stuff, and hope you can win the game from there. So we're going to get right into it and check it out. Alright, kicking us off, we're going to play against Abyss. Abyss is probably the most common deck you're going to see in Ruby and Sapphire currently, as Aggro Abyss is a really good climber deck, but by the time you reach Diamond, you do mostly see runes, so that's why I don't like to play in Diamond at the moment. Diamond's kind of a pain in the ass, just not enjoyable. So you're really just playing aggro against Abyss. You want to hit them and hit them faster than they can hit you, while also clearing their board as effectively as you can. So as you can see here, we're not really doing anything too crazy other than just a quick return. We take out the 3/3 and try and get whatever value we can out of the cards we have. And they're basically going to continue to do the same sort of deal, where they're just going to try and get as much damage and value as they can out of their cards. We like to use Odin as a big hitter here. Odin is massive, so being able to do 7 damage to an Abyss player who damages themselves is always a really nice turnout, especially when playing Forestcraft that has some pretty good aggro tools in Roach and Aria. Fortunately though, that is a few turns away, so we really just need to mitigate how much damage we're going to be taking and how much damage we can deal. Which this works out pretty well. It's just a few more turns to hold off. You can also do some shenanigans with Untamed. Untamed does a pretty good job of stalling. But it's a really like 50-50 card. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's just dead and useless. So try and get as much setup going as we can here. Get some damage in. These amulets are always good with stuff like Odin, since you can then buff the Odin, which gives you a little bit more damage. And you really just want to keep their board clear so that when this gold does get played, they can't capitalize on the storm damage too hard. And the small amount of healing they do have really isn't a threat to us. We now can Odin for our turn, which is honestly more than enough than what we need here. So a single Odin, we're going to have to send a fairy into the bat so they don't heal anymore, at least mitigate their healing. And then we get to send 1 extra damage to the face as well, putting on just 6. Meaning our Odin now can out-heal them as long as they don't heal more than like 2. Which thankfully Olivia, not healing more than 2. So Odin plus Amulet is still lethal and is probably going to close out the game given that this is their entire turn. And they've got to spend it clearing effectively. Although they do end up leaving up the unit anyway, so hey, why not? And triple Odin, I mean, hey, we're going to win this turn no matter what. We may as well do it in style with this Odin. So a quick Super Evolve plus an Amulet proc gets us to 8. We end up cleaning up pretty easily here. No Roach combo necessary for this game, fortunately. And our next game is up against Portalcraft. Portalcraft is more of a mixed bag. I'm still not super confident piloting Roach into it. Like I said, Roach is my least played class, or Forest in general is my least played class at the moment, since Roach is the only real viable decks, and I'm just not a big fan of it. It can definitely do very well, don't get me wrong. I'm not a hater on that fact. It's just not something I personally enjoy too much. Which I'm sure everyone has at least that one kind of deck that just rubs them the wrong way. But fortunately, this deck can actually do pretty well even without the Roach combo, so I don't mind playing it in a more aggressive way instead. So we end up picking up a full clear here while maintaining a 1/1. Not really super valuable against what is effectively Puppet Portal, which isn't a deck you see super common on ladder, but is one of the more affordable decks, so it's not a surprise you get to see it here. So I end up doing a return play here, since I really just wanted to get the damage on that, while generating an extra card. We're really just stalling at this point, and now that we have picked up a Roach, we can actually start thinking about probably the best way to handle this. And just keep setting up low-cost cards that we can potentially combo with our Roach play. This Portal is playing reasonably slowly, although the big turn is really the Orcus turn. If we can't kill them through that turn, that's where we're going to have some trouble. Glade was a okay pick here. Probably not the best option, but hey, it does the job. And that's really all I need. We're looking at a pretty solid Odin, which should get us some decent damage. And then they're really just going for some puppet plays. Nothing too crazy. Freeing up some hand space while they generate more cards. So now playing this Odin, I probably should have just hit the medical, which, you know, would have been better if I played Odin. I ended up just going for the lock instead, which wasn't worth it at all. That was just a huge misplay on my part. Like Odin plus normal Evo, I feel like just would have been a better play all around. And now I'm kind of forced into using, you know, this kind of combo to clear as much as I can. So I'm going to go for as much Roach as I can. Because I want to get that damage in so that when we do Odin, it's got some decent impact. Especially since I am going to super evolve this Carbuncle for the extra value it provides. Which is mostly just playing cards, you know. Now, we get the extra damage here. So we have a 7 Roach. Or 8 Roach, sorry. Which does put them within Odin range, so that works out pretty well. I don't mind using our Roach in our cards as long as that puts them within range of a potential lethal in the following turn. Which, I mean, Portalcraft, at least Puppet Portal, doesn't have too many good healing options. So I don't really expect to see them heal, but I kind of expected an Orcus or something instead, which Odin pretty much just wins through anyway. And now we just go for the 7 damage Odin lethal. Odin is just such a strong card in any aggro style deck, which Roach is effectively that at this stage. It's a very like aggro centric, just spam as many things as you can and try and deal with whatever you can and then deal big damage. Alright, and getting into our next game here, we're up against Dragoncraft. Not too big a problem typically for us to handle. I mean, it can have its ups and downs, but Dragon is a similar kind of vein where like we kind of just want to deal with whatever they play and chip in damage until we can go for some big swings. Videos also will be slowing down a little bit going forward. There's not much I can do about it. There's just not a lot to cover right now for Worlds Beyond, unfortunately. Until the next expansion, which is, I think, another week or so away. There's really not... This is not a lot, you know? Unless I have some big, like, weekend tournament results or something. It's just going to be covering some deck updates here and there. Probably a video every couple days or so. It'll just slow down a little bit. Nothing too crazy. But then we'll pretty much be, like, spamming videos for, you know, at least 2 weeks when we have the next expansion. So we'll see. We'll see. We should have some good content coming out of that. And the more cards that get added to the card pool, the more kind of janky decks and meme decks that'll pop up as well that can be covered. So that should be really interesting too. Alright, so we go for a full clear here. This really is just, again, a repeat of what we've been doing before. Just playing as much as we can. Unfortunately, Forte isn't something great to deal with, but Odin is a pretty decent answer to this. Especially since they left up my 5/5, so Playpoint Odin clears this and then does massive damage. I'm actually trying to remember if they just conceded after this play. I mean, 13 damage to the face is not something you want to have to really deal with. Actually, more than that if we buff it as well, sorry. So we actually get 14. But it is 13, sorry. It was 12 and then it went to 13. And then I even returned the Odin so we could potentially lethal him in the next turn. Which, I mean, they do end up, you know, going for the Olivia, so they do heal out of my range. And they end up double healing, which is kind of brutal. But since they only use the Olivia, nah, I'm not too concerned. We really just need to answer this now, is the only thing, which Crystalline does a pretty decent job of, without having to even use an Evo point. We end up finding a Carbuncle. Not really super useful without a Roach play to go with it. Unfortunately, this is going to be a bit of a problem. This is where Lamaga kind of comes in handy. Because Lamaga will actually lock... It'll kill 2, lock 2, and with Super Evo will actually take out the 8/8. while doing a little bit of chip damage to the leader, basically getting us 3 face damage as well. It's not a bad counter to this kind of board, especially when they've now used all their evos. And we're sitting on an Odin as well that can be evoed. So they end up throwing this Olivia to board, but with no evos, they're not really looking at anything too promising. And since they know we have the Odin that we return, they end up conceding with not being able to take out the 10-10. Alright, and we're going to close things out with a forest versus forest matchup. So, we want as many early cards as we can, because when you're coming into this kind of forest match, you kind of want to do that. I did also hold an Aria, because Aria is just a solid card, and we already, you know, had okay cards to begin with anyway. So we just kind of want to take out everything they play. That's really what I want to do a lot of my early game here. And looking back, maybe going for Fairy Convocation could have been better, but then it also would have filled our hand a little too much, so maybe not. This looks like a fairly good May turn, though, if we can pull it off, which I think shouldn't be a problem. Pretty easy May. Not really too much going on, though, with our hand. We kind of just need to get the damage. Thankfully, I think we're playing a little bit better than them overall. At least as far as, like, how many cards we have through on the board. Unfortunately, we don't really have much I can play with this. If I could have got it to 3 without wasting the May, I would have, but it's not worth wasting a May over it. Alright, I decided to just throw some Roach to board. Why not? Fuck it. What do we got to lose at this point? We're just going to send in as much damage as we can kind of get here. Play aggressive. Unfortunately, Glade is a really nice answer to what we played. And now I think I make a pretty bad misplay here, and I end up just playing Aria, which, honestly, not a good play. I should have probably held off one more turn, but I also, looking at it, didn't really have a way to deal with that 5-5 anyway, so I guess Aria was the kind of only choice I had. Not great, kind of brutal. At least on the bright side, Odin is half of his health right now. And the Roach potentially is the other half. So this Odin play actually becomes pretty valuable, because we've got Fairy, Carbuncle, Roach. So that does give us potentially 2 Roach plays with our Super Evo. Which hopefully should be able to get us to 7 damage. I think this is one of the few matches where I actually do a pretty decent Roach combo. Unfortunately, another Glade, not really a problem, just kind of annoying. So we just need to pull off this Roach combo, and Buggerlet's actually a pretty decent card here, I think. It just depends on how many play points we needed. But Buggerlet does let us return the Roach, which just allows us to straight play the Roach with Super Evo as well. Not that we needed it, we went to 4 damage anyway, so... ended up paying off pretty nicely and getting us an easy lethal. So overall, Roach Forest is a solid pick, honestly. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just situational. And it really comes down to the player a lot more than anything else because, you know, it's Forest. And being a decent Forest player is a very important factor when you're trying to do Roach math. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. You can check out the deck. You can modify the deck. Go for it. Hit the like button. Subscribe for more content. And until next time, I'll see you then.